liftoff. I'm Jay Fidell. It must be Thursday, and we're doing Aloha United is we stand. You know, Aloha United Way, we stand. And part of Aloha United Way is the Hawaiian Humane Society, and I am delighted that they are here because I love animals to a fault, to a passion. Two kinds of people in the world, those who love animals and the others. We don't talk much about them. Okay, we have the Humane Society Education Partnership Manager, Bonnie Oda. She's going to join us today, and we're going to talk about creating a more humane community. I guess that means through education.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, and thank you so much for having us on the air today, Jay. You know, it's so important for people to know that we are, from the start, back in 1883, a group of concerned citizens, including King David Kalakaua, Lucy Ward, they got together and they said, something has to be done about those without a voice. So that would be, back then, a lot of working animals were not being treated well. Also unwed mothers, the mentally ill, and many people don't know that we even had an orphanage for children without parents. And that continued all the way until 1935, and you probably realize there was a child welfare movement, so they moved that into another agency. But today, just as before, we are still just as much about people as we are about animals. And we are a nonprofit, as obviously because we are here on the Aloha United. That's correct.
The best kind.
Yes, oh, thank you. And you know, people often will assume that we are part of a national organization, but we're not. We're local, nonprofit, and we're not even affiliated with other organizations of our type around the state. We care for the animals and the community right here on Oahu, and we rely so desperately on the charitable contributions that people and Aloha United Way provide to us as well. So with that, they actually are able to fund 2 humane educators for this entire island of almost 1 million people. And last year and the year before, I guess annually, you could say we've been reaching more than 12,000 students. So
in what way?
Oh, in so many ways. We have many different education programs, and we go to schools, and we can talk about that a little bit more when we get into the show. Yeah, definitely. You had some questions for me.
I have many questions.
Yes, I bet you do.
You know, now what I get out of what you said, going back to the monarchy and all that, is that there's a cultural strain here about caring, and that's true. You see it in so many ways in the Hawaiian cultural thing, and it's not only about caring about people and the people who can't speak, as you say, but also animals.
Right.
And it's interesting that they lumped it all up. But you know, humane is humane.
You know, it's interesting because when I teach humane education to visiting groups, the first thing I ask them is, what do you think the word humane means? Well, if you look it up in the dictionary, it actually means taking on all of those character values that are the best. So compassion, kindness, empathy, responsibility, all of these components make up a humane person, a humane community. So it's the other thing that happens that we are very aware of as we're working with the youth is that children have a natural affinity towards animals. And many times if we say, what would you do if you saw someone in the playground being mean to one of your classmates or teasing them mercilessly? And they'll say, we might tell the teacher. And if I turn that around and I say, okay, well, what if you saw somebody being mean or cruel or teasing an animal? They'll say, oh, miss, that's wrong. You have to protect animals. They know this instinctively. So that natural affinity they have with one another can help us teach social and emotional learning and how to be humane. So, I mean, it's
humane.
Humane, yes.
And you measure a community by how it deals with its downtrodden and those who can't speak.
Absolutely.
You measure it.
Yes.
It's a metric, and if Hawaii has this, Hawaii's a better place.
Oh, absolutely. We would like Oahu and Hawaii and the world to really be flagship pet owners, you know, knowing all of the things that it takes to care for, particularly animals in our case, right? We've domesticated them. They've come to depend on us for food and water and shelter and love and compassion. and even interaction. They look forward to us coming home so we can play with them.
Do they ever?
Oh, now you have a dog, so you know this, yes.
She jumps 3 feet in the air.
Does she?
Home, yeah.
Teeny tiny, she's not even 3 feet?
4 or 5 pounds. Like
Oh
that.
my gosh, that's wonderful.
Well, anyway, so but I think it goes further than that, actually, Bonnie.
Yeah.
I can honestly, we started talking about technology almost 15 years ago on Hawaii Public Radio here. And I forget who the guest was, but the guest enlightened me. So what was the first technology that humankind invented, the very first one? What was it?
Was it the fire wheel?
Well, I think it was right around the time of fire.
Yeah.
Hard to say
Yeah.
whether fire was first or dogs. Why? Because a dog would do what you said. A dog was an extension of your will. A dog would go out there and do a task for you, okay, that you could
Interesting.
not do yourself.
Uh-huh.
Okay, this was really important for civilization,
Mm-hmm.
survival in many ways. But the other thing is it was part of the bond of the special domesticated animal that came off the wolf, that became a member of the family, part of the hearth, who slept with his master. It goes way back, and it's universal everywhere in the world. You see this.
Yes.
It's how deep the roots are.
Mm-hmm. With our companion animals.
Companion animals.
Absolutely. They bring out the best in us. They really, truly do.
And you can learn about people by watching them.
Yes.
If you know your animals, you know the people.
In fact, we share with the youth that when you connect with the animal, you start to understand instinctively without words what that animal is feeling, and you learn to nurture them and love them and change your behavior so that they're more comfortable if they're uncomfortable. And then from there, these children who are learning these wonderful character traits can then translate those into how they treat one another. In fact, one of our programs, Tales of Kindness, I'm so tickled, has taken off. It's being widely received by our educators as a social and emotional learning tool, or I think the press likes to call it anti-bullying modification tool. And basically what we do is, it started off with a presentation sharing that all living creatures, all sentinel beings, have a star in them. And the star will shine bright when good things happen to them, and it really shines bright when you do good things for others. And likewise, when you stub your toe or something bad happens, it gets a little dimmer. And when you're not kind to another person or another being, it gets really dim. So we share this with the students, and then we give them some scenarios where they interact with us. Oh, okay, if you make fun of a kid on the school ground, does our star shine or does it dim? And we go through this. And then we take them through a story about an animal. And they're just captivated, right? Because we're not talking about another person. We're talking about an animal, which they totally love.
And yet, yeah.
Right?
Unconditional.
Unconditionally. They just love this animal. And then at the end, we have a discussion. What was good? What was a star shiner in the story? What was a star dimmer? And can that incident actually translate over to something that might have happened on the school ground with you, or when you were asked to wash the dishes? So we can start to connect their natural affinity for animals and the way that they understand they should treat these animals to how they treat one another. And that has been so widely accepted. So now it's developed into a peer mentoring program. So we have high school students actually learning the presentation, and they practice with their peers so they feel all comfy and they feel they master the information. And they will sometimes take middle school youth under their wings, and then we arrange for them to give presentations with our partnerships at the A+ facilities, and they teach this to the elementary students. So youth teaching children, magical combination.
That's magical.
And we
Absolutely.
always send a pet visitation team along, right? Because we want to make sure that we have the real animal component.
Have to have them there.
Gotta have
There's
them
so
there.
many points of instruction there with the animals.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know why, but you remind me maybe of the other side of the equation with dogs that go to hospitals,
Oh, yes.
dogs that visit patients.
Yes, pet visitation teams.
Pet visitation.
Yes.
We had, actually, for a long time, we had a host here who was very close to that and organized that sort of thing at
Yes.
various children's hospitals around.
That's one of our programs with
Is
the
that
Humane
right?
Society.
Somebody
Yes.
put it-
Oh, yes,
good.
yes, yes.
This is very important.
Oh,
for
it
people.
is, and it's amazing. The same teams that visit hospitals and care homes will also visit schools with us, and they do a tremendous job because when we're suffering, you know, there's nothing, again, coming back to that unconditional love, that love. There's, I've heard stories where there's been people that are in hospice and they haven't responded to anything for more than a week. And then a visitation pet will come and just lay their little head on their hand, and all of a sudden the hand will start to twitch because they realize and they feel that human-animal connection. So powerful, so healing. I mean, around the world, people are in medical facilities as well as others, they're realizing the importance and the benefits that pets have on us.
It's a great gift from
Oh, it really
God
is.
and nature.
Yes, it is.
Can imagine years ago when this first happened. You know, it's ubiquitous now. It's everywhere. But there was probably one moment where one mutated wolf was domesticatable, and he came and he lay down against one man, and
Probably a man that was kind to that wolf, right? And it just connected.
why do I think that it's probably the wolf that was kind to the man?
Well,
And
because
the man said, "Ooh, this is good. I think I'll be kind now." You know, I was going to tell you today
like that.
that it's all about, you know, to me, love, and as you say, unconditional love, it's about dependency. So if I'm dependent on the animal in my own way, the love is greater. If the animal is dependent on me, the love is greater. And if we're both dependent, you know, one dependency, you know, creates the codependency, the return dependency.
That is
So it becomes
very, very strong, yes. I think all of us that have pets know how much our pets give us. And sometimes when you are coming home after a rough day, they know. I mean, they instinctively know. And they may even hold back their overbridled joy, right? Of oh, yay. But they see that you're kind of down in the face, and they'll go like, oh, and they'll just come up and press themselves into you, right?
special.
It's very special.
Different
It's
than
beautiful.
everyday behavior.
Yes.
You know, we had this experience in my house. I mean, it's instructive. My wife is, what shall I say, she's still studying how to operate computers.
Okay.
Okay, so the computer gives her terrible frustration.
Oh.
And she was so frustrated. Now, she wasn't shouting, she wasn't yelling at anybody, she was just very frustrated with the computer. And the animal knew this.
Oh.
And the animal tried to comfort her about it. It's unusual, it wasn't everyday behavior, it was different.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that-
we're very happy, you know. We weren't always. It's like a discovery we made in midlife. But now you wouldn't find us without, actually.
Yeah.
So, but one thing you said, Bonnie, that I'd just like to explore is that there are two kinds of people in the world, those who like animals and those who don't. And you find out so quickly, really. I mean, if they have that certain je ne sais quoi, you know, that kindness and the humaneness, you know so quickly. But you also know when they're not like that. And part of your educational program has to be to, you know, make the ones who are not like that feel like these guys instead. It's not necessarily natural or intuitive. And is that part of how you sort of approach the class of kids? Tell me.
Okay, that's a very interesting question, Jay, and thank you for asking that. First, I want to start off with there is documented proof of a link between animal cruelty and human violence. It's taught in the FBI academies, et cetera, and when a person, when they're young, if they start practicing cruelty on an animal and are allowed to get away with it, they'll start to practice on larger victims. And our programs, you know, we have broad-based programs for the general island population with youth, and we also have targeted programs. And those programs are really focused in on the most underserved communities where animals are at highest risk. Now, when animals are at high risk because of this link between cruelty to animals and human violence, children are often at risk. They're
the same violence.
To the same, many times the same violence. So often social workers are trained to watch the family pet when they go into homes, because if they see a wide turnover, or maybe the pet seems to be injured quite often, then that is an indication that if there's not already violence in the home, there will be. So this link allows me to know that when we go into these underserved communities, that we're not only helping the animals, but we are definitely helping the children. There's one case in 2013, one of the...
Before you tell me this
Okay.
case, we're going to take a short break.
Okay.
Reason is that it's one of those, it's one of those hooks that people are interested in this case in 2013.
Okay.
We want to make them interested and stay with us for a few seconds while we take the break.
Thank you.
Okay, that's Bonnie Oda. She's the Education Partnership Manager of the Hawaii Humane Society. We're learning a lot about that. And we're learning about humaneness and Hawaii's special brand of humaneness. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back.
Aloha, my name is Josh Green. I'm a senator from the Big Island and ER physician. Every other Tuesday, I get to host a show here on the ThinkTech program about healthcare. We call it Healthcare in Hawaii. It's really enjoyable for me to bring other healthcare leaders from around the state to talk about our pressing issues. Hawaii has long been the health state, but we need to keep up the momentum, the inertia, and with your help and with your participation, we can come and share all of the big issues that are pressing day to day. Thanks for joining us every Tuesday, alternating weeks from 2 to 2:45.
Aloha, my name is Miley Scarpino and I'm the host of the Empower Hour. If you're interested in health, nutrition, fitness, here on the island of Oahu, want to learn more about places to train at or different trainers available, then watch my show on Fridays at 3. We have a great time and I hope that you'll come join us. Much aloha, now go get swole!
Okay, we're here feeling emotional with Bonnie Oda of the Hawaii Humane Society. She's the Education Partnership Manager there. It means a lot. But she's kind of giving us a view of how it works on multiple levels, how it works. So it's sort of a psychological connection, a human connection. This is really important to understand the Native Hawaiian culture and also humanity in general.
Okay.
So the first thing is I wanted to just pick up on your point during the break to identify what the Hawaii Humane Society, what area it covers,
Sure.
and how it's organized, or humane societies in general are organized around the state.
Okay, so the Hawaiian Humane Society is focused in on our island of Oahu. We are not part of a national organization, nor are we part of a state agency. We're independent, and most of your animal welfare groups are all independent local nonprofits. So that's really important, so that when people are sharing their funds with us, they know that their money is staying right here on Oahu, helping the local community and the local animals. So
Okay.
thank you.
And you'd be the biggest in the state for sure.
Well, you mean in terms of numbers? Yes, we are Oahu's only open admission shelter, so we took in more than 26,000 animals last year. It comes out to be about 70 animals a day.
So you
that
take
we
them
are
from
the
other islands, is
safety
that the
net.
idea?
No, that's only from this island.
Just from this island? So you're by far the biggest. What does open admission mean? I mean, I remember I went to college, was open admission, meant that anybody could get in. Is that the same thing?
It is. Basically, we accept all animals in any condition. We're even an amnesty site. So if you have an animal that's not allowed in Hawaii, you can turn them in to us, no questions asked. We will never turn away an animal because we feel that that's very important in preventing abandonment, cruelty, and suffering of animals.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yep. So can I share with you my 2013
Please,
story?
let's go back to, turning back to 2013 before I rudely interrupted Bonnie. She was going to tell us a story.
Okay, so I was sharing with you how animals can really make a difference in the classroom. And we have a free curriculum called CARE, and CARE is an acronym for Compassion and Responsibility Education. And educators don't use it very often, but there's a school, Luna Lilo, came to us, and they had 18 students that were entering their 5th grade class that had some social and emotional learning challenges. Let's just put it that way. And they were, the incoming the 5th grade teachers were worried. right? They wanted to make sure that it was a safe environment and that everybody had the opportunity to learn. So one teacher said she had read so much about how animals can draw out kindness and compassion and patience in students. So she approached me and I said, well, she wanted a pet visitation team and that was it. And I said, you know, that's good and that will calm your pets, but we need to take it deeper. We need to have them really learn about compassion and kindness through a unit. So they agreed and they implemented the unit, and each Wednesday, a pet visitation team from our organization would go and visit. The transformation was amazing. One of the 18 students who was really kind of the leader, he really changed. He did this about turn. And part of it was, there was an incident, according to the pet visitation human, he said that one day the dog just kind of did that, you know, and this dog, Athena, she's calm. She takes everything. And he turned and he goes, what happened? And the boy goes, oh, I didn't do anything. Mister, I didn't do anything. And so the pet visitation team person said, you know, that's between you and Athena. Only you and Athena know what's really wrong. And that's the thing with animals. They know, and you know. And he said, if you want to start working with Athena, then you know, be nice and behave and try out these compassion exercises that we have. And by the end of the semester, it was only supposed to be a 3-month trial. And today, in 2015, Athena and Ron are still visiting this classroom every Wednesday. It's amazing.
Okay, so you can ask for forgiveness, and they will ultimately forgive you?
Yes, I think that, well, you mean pets? Yes. Pets have unconditional love for their owners. I mean, that's what really breaks so many hearts of many of us, you know, you and I alike, who love animals. We're heartbroken when people are not kind to animals. And that's what I think gets the youth so excited. You know, my department's call is to draw out and develop compassionate, responsible, empathic behavior in youth, 1. Number 2 is that they will stand up for the animals who don't have a voice. And 3, to share that knowledge is not good enough to hold it inside, right? To share that knowledge with their peer and with their families and with their neighbors so that they can help us achieve our dream of having a compassionate, humane society to animals and to people.
Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah. Gee, I wish I brought my Emily with me today.
Oh, I would
Put her
love
right
you.
there. She'd be licking you.
I know, I was debating if I should bring a pet on the set today,
Maybe
but
next time. We do permit pet. This is a pet, you know, pet-friendly studio here.
Oh, very nice. Oh, we need to include you on a Bring Your Pet to Work Day then.
You know, I know a number of people downtown who actually do that. You know, we won't mention any names. Anyway, so, you know, but going back to the point about forgiveness, you know, sometimes you make a mistake. You step on the animal accidentally, but you injure or, you know, cause pain, discomfort, whatever it is. And the animal, you know, is mad at you. Is frightened of you. I mean, there's a close relationship between anger and fright.
Right.
You know, and so now, what I hear you saying is that even if you have that experience, even if the animal is angry, you can rebond.
You can rebond.
Cause forgiveness in some way.
Yes, yes, and that's why it's so important. You know, we want to teach youth and adults to be kind all the time, right? So that should something unfortunate happen, like if you trip on your dog, which I did last night, unfortunately.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, that your dog will forgive you because he knows no matter what, you love him and you didn't mean to do that.
He knows it was a mistake.
Right, exactly. And that's the same with people as well, right? We often, you know, we'll trip up.
There's one of those lessons, you know.
Right.
They call it the mammalian lesson.
Mammalian.
Yeah, and you're not going to have this experience with a pet lizard. Sorry.
Well, I don't know. I think some Jackson chameleon owners would differ with you.
My niece had an iguana. She never, you know, Madonna the iguana was the name.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
But you know, with mammal kinds of pets, you know, you do have this special experience, and it's what we've been talking about. But you know what? Some pets, some dogs especially, and some cats, are aggressive. You know, their nature is not necessarily, you know, the ideal that you're talking about. I suppose, given the right training and environment, given the right love and attention, you could make 99.9% of all animals, I mean domestic animals, friendly. But some of them are aggressive.
It's unfortunate because when animals, especially cats and dogs and domestic animals, are assertive, it's because they've learned to be. You know, whether it's a complete lack of any type of contact or love from humans and just being chained up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you know, who wouldn't go crazy, right? Or whether it's because they've just learned that there's no humans
We
that
knew
come
this
around.
guy. He was in a
Yeah.
rural setting, and he had a German Shepherd, and God knows why he did this. I mean, it was really terrible. And he built a concrete pad, probably less than 6 by 6, and he put cyclone fence around all the sides of it.
A what fence?
A cyclone fence,
Oh.
you know, steel fence,
Okay,
the link fence.
okay.
And he put the German Shepherd in there, and once or twice a day he'd shove food through a hole in it, and the German Shepherd spent his life in this enclosure. Well, if you came close to that enclosure, you got you know, some very aggressive behavior, you know, to the point where you were afraid that if this dog ever got out, you know, you wouldn't like it much. But I think, you know, he built that, he created that by fencing the dog in that way, imprisoning the dog for a long time. And I think it's so easy to make a dog aggressive or sweet. You know, you make the choice.
Right. Well, we would like, you know, we encourage the youth when they see cases like that where there's where a pet is being mistreated. We encourage them to call our hotline 356-2250 and to leave us a tip. You know, or they can also call Animal Crime Stoppers. Crime Stoppers has an animal
Really?
division
Oh,
as well. Yeah,
For
yes.
criminal abuse.
Right, or any type of animal
Any
abuse, you
abuse.
can call them as well. Because when they can stand up for an animal, that's when they become heroic, you know, and that's when they learn the selflessness of helping another being that really, you know, really can't stand up for themselves. It's really sad. We also have a dog bite prevention program. We have an adult program.
How does that work?
It's very good. It's interactive. It's a series of, it's a PowerPoint presentations with little videos inserted where they can actually see and understand how to act when you are confronted with a dog that makes you uncomfortable, makes you feel uncomfortable, and it's excellent. And we've taught this class with Hawaiian Electric, Board of Water Supply, Oceanic. You know, this class has been very well received from the business community. We also have a toned down version for the children, because sometimes schools will want to have pet safety, and we feel that if we can teach children to be comfortable and safe around dogs, a better chance that as they get older, they'll continue to feel safe and like dogs, right?
Yeah.
And we also teach them about how to read, we call it doggies to the children, but basically read dog body language. And then we also, while we're teaching them that, we'll say, oh, doesn't that kind of seem human? You know, when a dog is confident, assertive, when they do this, doesn't that seem like the guy in the playground that might be confronting
Opening
you?
themselves up to
Right,
you.
right. So they learn a lot about body language cross species. But yeah, getting back to your point, I am always troubled when people are not knowledgeable enough to know that animals need love and compassion and care. And that's one of the reasons as we move forward, you know, as we continue to build our targeted programs in the most underserved communities on the island, and we continue to build partnerships so we can have broad-based education programs for the entire island as well. Our hope is that we can reach as many people as possible, right? Because the more people we reach...
Gosh, that's what I want to ask you right after this break.
Okay.
This is another cliffhanger. It's because, you know, the societal impact, the societal effect, you know, benefits to the society. We're going to take another break. That's Bonnie Oda. She is the Hawaii Humane Society Education Partnership Manager, and she knows a lot about animals, and she's sharing that with us because she is also a very humane person. So we come right back. You'll see. This is ThinkTech. It's Thursday. We'll be right back.
Aloha, I'm Kili'i Akina, president of the Grassroot Institute and host on Ehana Kako, a weekly program on the ThinkTech Hawaii broadcast network. Ehana Kako means let's work together. Think of the sad alternative, let's not work together. Here in Hawaii, with all of our diversity and the richness of the people, it's important for us to come together around issues on the basis of what's right and what's good and what's going to serve the common good. And that's what we try to do at Ehana Kako. Every week, we interview movers and shakers, people in government, business, and other sectors of society to talk about how to create together a better government, economy, a better world here in Hawaii that can bless the rest of the world. I thank you for your attention to ThinkTech Hawaii, and we look forward to seeing you every Monday, 2 to 3 p.m. on the ThinkTech Hawaii Broadcast Network. We're Ehana Kako, and we wish you well. Aloha.
Okay, we're back. We're live. We're here with Bonnie Oda. We're examining the relationship of animals and humankind, and also the society. One question has come up, though, during the break that I want to ask you about.
Yes.
You know, there are guard dogs trained to be security instruments, you know, like my comparison to the technology. You know, dogs, and for that matter, people can be trained to do certain things robotically even. And suppose I train my pit bull to be an attack dog. And pit bulls, in fact, have a propensity toward that. They're really good at it.
They have a really bum reputation. It's not
Think so?
because, yes,
Okay.
because they've been
They
used.
can be sweet, too.
Oh my goodness. I know way many pit bulls that are sweethearts than I do likewise. It makes me very sad. And you know what makes me sad, Jay, is when people will judge a dog by their breed. Because to me, it's almost like I'll share this with my friends and even the children. If we were to judge someone by the color of their skin, what would we be called?
Profiling.
Profiling and a racist, right?
Racist.
And the same thing with dogs. I mean, just because they're one breed or another breed, or poi dog, right? It doesn't lend them to being anything beyond what they have encountered in their interaction with human beings. So we need to create a society where we're kind to all of our animals, so they're all kind. And in return, they will teach us. They're the greatest teachers on earth. They will teach us all of the values that make us wonderful, you know, compassionate, kind, responsible, leaders, you know, advocates, people who are not afraid to speak up about what's right.
Well, it's kind of cruel to train a dog to be an attack dog.
Yes.
You know, I mean, the profile of the Third Reich and all those German shepherds out there, they were bred to be nasty, they were trained to be nasty, and no surprise, they were nasty.
Yes, it's heartbreaking.
And there was no way to, yes, it was heartbreaking for the animals.
Very heartbreaking.
So, you know, what do you do with that? And how does the Humane Society feel about that? I mean, if I tell you that down the block there's a company, I don't know if this is true or not, there's a company that trains dogs, any kind of breed, could be German Shepherd, Pit Bull, whatever breed is big and strong, you know, to be attack dogs. How do you feel about that? Where does that fit in your perception of where these animals fit in our community?
Well, for me, it's troubling. Although I do know someone that does train a guard dog, and those dogs love their master. He is so kind and good to them and complete. And but it does trouble me, you know, because I don't feel my personal opinion is that animals should not be used in that sense.
As instruments of violence.
As instruments of violence or instruments of entertainment as well. You know,
like the monkey with the
like the monkey or circuses that bring animals down to entertain us, or fairs. You know,
tigers in the cage.
Yeah, I mean, they're not for us to rule over.
How do you feel about zoos?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that if they are serving an education, if they are serving the education of the community, if the animals are being well treated, then that's fine, you know. But the big thing is that they have a lot of animals, and we want to make sure that they are adequately staffed with caregivers that are properly trained and veterinarians that are that know how to deal with animals
Do
of
you
this
ever
type.
go for a walk in the zoo and find things that trouble you to the point where you say, you guys have to stop doing that?
You know, actually, to be honest with you, I haven't been in the zoo for about 10 years, so.
Why, it's hard to be there.
It's
See the
is.
cages, whatnot.
And I have every day that I'm at work, I get to walk out into our shelter and see all of the adorable animals just
Isn't that
waiting
true?
for their new home.
Waiting
you know?
for their new homes, it's
Oh.
an entirely different thing.
It is.
You want them all to be adopted immediately.
Yes, and you know what? And most of them are. And those who are not, another thing I want to share with you that's so unique for the Hawaiian Humane Society is that even though we're an open admission shelter, once an animal is available for adoption, they remain with us until they find their final family. So there was a case, for example, Wyatt and Nestle, both dogs have been with us for months and months and months. Sometimes being in the shelter is stressful, so we'll send them home with our wonderful foster volunteers, and they'll do 2 weeks of R&R to get the wag in their tail and the sparkle in their
that's
eye,
interesting.
right? And a lot of
Get
times
them
when
out
they
of the
come,
cage.
get them out of the cage into a family so they remember what it's like and what's
a
waiting
great
for them.
idea.
Yes. Oh my gosh. If we didn't have our foster volunteers, I don't know what we'd do, because they are wonderful. They help us with underweight kittens. They help us with sick animals. They nurture them. I mean, they're just wonderful, and they allow us to adopt out so many animals that might not have had a chance.
Wendy Ma.
Oh, Wendy Ma, yes.
Wendy Ma did dog
The dog
classes
behavior
for my
specialist?
wife and me. It was wonderful.
Oh, is that where,
Emily Kea is, three generations ahead now of
Oh, okay.
when Wendy was Missy Galore years ago. It was also the heart of our hearts. But Wendy was very good, and the dog class was very good. And we never could really train Missy. She was a free spirit, and we wanted it that way. It's like you say,
Beautiful.
you want to make the dog an object of affection, so you don't want to be too regimented about it.
oh,
yeah.
absolutely. You want them to have the freedom to be themselves, right? Express
Yeah.
themselves and be
Yeah,
themselves.
it's a free spirit, that kind
Right,
of thing.
right.
So, and I wanted to ask you too, I mean, when you go there and you look at the dogs and the big eyes at you, and, you want to adopt them all. And so I envy you to be around all those dogs who are so loving and so, dependent, actually. Same with the cats. But, some of them you have to put down, because some animals have to be put down.
It's
Can
the
you talk
most
about
humane.
that for a minute and how we handle that?
I do want to share that if an animal is suffering, we don't, and there's no cure, or it's going to be very difficult, that sometimes it's most humane to put them down. And that breaks our heart. Sometimes, a lot of times animals will come to us, pet owners will come to us because they know that their pet is at the end of their life and they are ready to transition them. It's, our admission staff is amazing to me, the way that they are able to help these people. And then, we actually have euthanizing services available for the public, as well as crematory services.
That'd be a lot cheaper than going to a vet.
And I want to also share with you that we also have pet loss support. We have a pet loss support once a month for people that have lost their pets. I understand there's someone that attends this pet loss support, and they lost their pet a while ago, but they still go. They still find so much comfort in.
To remember.
Sure.
Oh, that's a very hard experience, losing a pet.
Oh my goodness.
Your family may not be as close to you as the pet was.
Yeah, pets are our family.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I wanted to ask you one last question, and I want to give you the opportunity to tell me anything you want. But my last question is, subtract the Humane Society. Make it go away.
No.
No, just hypothetically.
Okay.
What happens to our community if there is no Humane Society?
Well, if there is no Humane Society, then I'm going to assume that there is no one to stand up for those without a voice. I'm going to assume there isn't going to be anyone there to show people the magnificent bond that animals provide to us. And I'm speaking about a Humane Society for animals, of course. If we don't have this Humane Society, we as a society are going to lose a big part of ourselves, a big part of our souls. For youth, that scares me because they will lose a big component of leadership opportunities, of communication opportunities. I mean, I just can't even fathom a society or a community without a humane society in it.
It would devolve, wouldn't it? I mean, people would act badly toward animals. There'd be nobody to protect the animals. The animals would be afraid and angry, and they would attack the people before you know it. And then you have a society that's less humane, less civilized.
Yeah, I would prefer to look at the community that we have now, and how we are so embraced by our lawmakers, and we're embraced by our classroom teachers, and we're embraced by business individuals like yourselves. And the animals truly draw out from us our best. I mean, I keep saying that over and over, and that is so true. With the youth, oh my gosh, I wish we had 2 hours to talk, because I could tell you about the amazing service projects that youth have done. We have a contest, Jay, for youth, and what we do is we challenge them to identify a need that animals in their own community have, and then come up with a solution, implement the solution, and then report their findings to us through video or essay or slideshow. And what has come out of that is amazing. We've had an entire school academy at Campbell High School put on an outreach fair because they were upset about not having stray pickup. So they said, what can we do? And I said, well, eliminate the strays, reduce the strays. And they said, okay. So they had a microchip and pet ID event, and they had customized pet ID tags. We were there microchipping on site. The language arts department wrote up brochures on responsible pet ownership. They did all these wonderful things. And we had videos. I mean, what they put on is tremendous. We have another group, Cat Huggers, who did a project where, and they still do this, where they actually help with the TNRM. Do you know what that is? Trap, neuter, return, manage. And that is a humane strategy for reducing the number of feral or free roaming cats. So they trap them and they raise money to have them spayed and neutered and release them. And it's just amazing that when you have a humane society with programs like our education programs like our foster volunteers, programs like our hiking club. We have a monthly hiking club that promotes the human-animal bond. All of these wonderful programs and events really help our society celebrate that human-animal bond, and I think that's so important.
You like your work?
Oh my gosh, I love my job. I totally love what I do.
How did you get into it?
Oh yeah, that's really interesting. I had my own business for more than a decade, and then and it was in education. I taught people teachers how to use the computer as a tool, and it was so rewarding. And so when I decided to work for other people, I was searching for something that gave me that warm fuzzy, and I didn't really understand it. My husband kept telling me, you should go and work for a nonprofit. And I kept saying, oh, no, but I'm in sales. I'm a salesperson. And he says, you have the heart of a nonprofit. And sure enough, I followed his lead and applied for this job 5 years ago. And thank God every day. Every night when I go to bed, I say thank you, because it's a wonderful job. It's so rewarding.
Working for the common good. Okay, 1 minute left now, Bonnie.
Okay.
Take camera one.
Camera one, okay.
Okay, those are the people, those are the kids, those are their parents. What's your parting advice to them today?
Oh, my parting advice. First of all, be kind, call us up, and if you donate to Aloha United Way, please earmark some of that money, direct some of that money to the Hawaiian Humane Society, because we are going to transform our community and continue to transform them into a humane society that's kind, compassionate, empathic, and responsible to not only animals, but also people. Is that good?
Yeah, that's good. Aloha United We Stand. That's our show on Thursdays in the 12 to 1 block. We're so happy to have you here and the Humane Society here. It's wonderful to have this discussion. Thank you, Bonnie Oda.
Thank you very much, Jay. Really appreciate it.
Aloha.
Aloha.